So welcome to all of you who are here. If you are new to us and new to the Chatfield Edge, we welcome you as well. This is the first in a series of webinars we are launching this year to support our scholars who are engaged in all types of educational endeavors, from applying to college or trade school, from doing certificate programs, to those who have recently completed programs or graduated and are moving into the workforce. And we also are supporting our mentors. We have mentors here tonight, and community members who want to help us out, boost our scholars. I'm just so excited to have all of you here. This is our very first one, so welcome. That is great. Since we're at the beginning of a new academic year, we decided to start the year off with a time management webinar, learning to juggle priorities, life, work, school, all those things can make a big impact on you in the long run. So we wanted to jump in with that one right away. If you have ideas for future webinar topics, please add those in the chat, and Jeannie and Alex and the others will be paying attention to those and grabbing them up. So a few little housekeeping items. Our presentation will run about 30 minutes, and then we will open it up for a Q&A session. While you're watching, please mute your microphones, especially if you have pets, kids, or other noise in the background, like I have traffic in the background because I have all my windows open because it's so wonderful outside. We may do a few interactive exercises, so be ready for that. And then as you have questions, jot them down so you're ready to ask when we have the Q&A session. Tonight's presenter is Alex Webb, who comes to us from the Marketing Pack. The Marketing Pack has been with us from the very beginning, from when we transitioned out of Chatfield College and into the current nonprofit organization. And they helped us shape our vision and reach our scholars and mentors who make up our organization. And Alex herself has spent years testing out several different time management techniques. And so she is going to share those with you tonight. And we are grateful that she is leading us tonight. And Alex, I believe the screen is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much, David. I am really excited to be here with everybody. I hope you can all see my screen. If not, be sure to let me know. I will be trying to watch the chat for any questions that come up while I'm presenting, but it is a very small window for me on the side here. So if I miss your question, we will have Q&A at the end, and I love talking about this. So all questions are welcome. So let's kick this off. Clockwise, time management techniques to maximize productivity. So before I dive right in, just introduce myself. Who am I to be talking to you about this? Well, I'm Alex. I was born and raised in Southern Ohio. However, I currently live in northwestern Montana outside of Glacier National Park. This is obviously not Ohio. And in my free time, I'm generally lost in the woods, hiking, or in a good book. I also enjoy bouldering, rock climbing. I'm training for my first marathon, which is only 4 weeks away. Time management has been huge in helping me get ready for that. And fun fact, I also own a llama, and everyone knows that owning a llama makes you an expert at time management. I'm kidding, obviously, but let's get to what does qualify me to talk to you about this topic. So, I got my associate's degree from Southern State Community College and my bachelor's degree from Oregon State University. I am a certified Scrum Master, which is a project management technique. I'm a member of the Marketing Pack, a Cincinnati-based marketing agency that, as David said, has been working with Chatfield since its inception. And in the course of my 15-year career, I've managed many complex technical projects like website builds, database transitions, data privacy compliance audits, and that type of thing. So professionally, I've had a lot of experience that has called upon time management skills, but this is also something that I care about personally. So there's a quote by the writer Annie Dillard that says, "How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives." And that really, the first time I heard that, I was in college. I think I was working on my associate's degree, and that really stuck out at me. How we spend our days is how we spend our lives. It seems very simple. But I asked, where exactly is my time going every day? How am I spending my days? Because at the end of the day, I don't know about you, but sometimes I sit there and I think, what actually did I do today? It feels like a blur. So personally, I have been tracking my time in a tool called Harvest. It's just a really simple time tracker since 2014, so for over 10 years. So I really care about how my time is being spent. And I can relate to having a lot to juggle. If there are scholars here today that are in school and working and have, regular adult human responsibilities, I can relate to that. I am currently working for the marketing pack. I am also attending school and I'm writing a thesis that I'll be defending this fall, training for my first marathon and just being a regular human being. So strong time management is what allows me to juggle all of these things without yelling at a poor complete stranger while I'm in the produce aisle at the grocery store because I'm just so overwhelmed. So, yes, time management is very, very important. So, why do we need it? Well, if we don't have it, we end up feeling kind of like this, just overwhelmed, like everything is on fire. But let's get a little more specific about why it is important. Um, Multitasking. So, very simply, this is just doing two things at once. I would actually love to just launch a quick poll. David, if you could help me, if you hover over the toolbar at the bottom, there should be like like a little dot icon on
Yep.
the far right, and you should see like polls and quizzes. If you
Yep.
click on that, one of them should say multitasking. If you could launch that, I would love to get a quick survey of who thinks that they are good at multitasking. And it's anonymous. I won't know how you answer this. So please, please answer truthfully. And we'll just give it a moment and then David, maybe in just 15 seconds, you can just go back and click end poll and then share
Sure.
the results. That would be great.
Let's say a couple of you need to vote still.
Please vote.
Do. Feel like we're all there, maybe. Okay, good. And I'm sharing results.
Perfect. So,
Yeah.
as you can see, most people think that they are good at multitasking. 71% of us said we
Yeah.
are. Unfortunately, the science says we are not. One study found that 97.5% of participants could not uh, operate a cell phone and a motor vehicle efficiently at the same time. And in fact, according to the American Psychological Association, our brains just aren't built for multitasking. We are not good at it, despite what we think. Another reason that we need time management is context switching. This is the process of just shifting attention between different tasks. Unfortunately, we can't avoid this. We can't just keep doing the same thing forever, right? We can't stay in this webinar all night just chit-chatting about time management. Eventually, we will have to move to the next task. Another American Psychological Association study found that the mental blocks created by context switching can cost you as 40% of your productive time. So it makes you less productive. It also causes fatigue. Another study by a software as a service company called Notion found that 43% of their respondents said they felt fatigue from context switching. Again, we can't avoid this. We have to move between tasks. We can't just keep doing the same thing, but we can minimize the impact of context switching through time management techniques. And then the last thing I'll talk about before I move into the actual time management techniques is productivity. So, productivity is the effectiveness of effort. So, how productive are we on average? Um, Before I share the answer to that, I would love if people could just drop in chat how many hours a day do you think human beings can actually be productive? Nice. So we got a variety of answers. We've got some people saying 4. I've got some 8s. I got Andrew's hedging. He's saying 4 to 6. 12, Amy. Wow. Yeah, so we've got a great mix here. Okay. So just like we overestimate our ability to multitask, we tend to overestimate how productive we can be in a day. The estimates and the studies have found mixed results, but literally no study I could find says that we can be productive for 8 or more hours a day. So the average seems to be about somewhere between 3 and 6. So 4 or 5 hours a day is about the max that you can expect. And that means as busy students, as busy human beings, we really have to get the most return on our investment, which means we have to maximize our time and get the most out of it. And time management is going to help us do that. So let's get to the actual time management techniques that are going to help us with alleviating multitasking, uh, alleviating the impact of context switching, and being as productive as possible. So, the first type of time management techniques I want to talk about are what I call on off sprints. In an on off sprint, you work for a specific period of time, which we'll talk about how long that is, and then you take a break. Yes, it's as simple as that. You are on and then you are off. But while you're working, you stay very, very focused on a single project or task and eliminate all distractions. Now, while you can do whatever on or off sprint cycle works for you, two really common cycles are the 25-5 and the 52-17. Let's talk about 25-5 first. So, with 25-5, super simple. You are going to pick a project or task to work on, one. You're going to set a timer for 25 minutes, and then you're going to get to work. No distractions allowed. If you can, if it's not going to be an issue with your job or, if you have children, put your phone on Do Not Disturb. We're not going to do the doom scroll on social media during this 25 minutes. We're not going to acknowledge those push notifications that are coming through as people text us or send emails. No distractions for that 25 minutes. You're going to work on your project. When the timer goes off, you're going to take a 5-minute break. You're going to step away and take that 5-minute break. We'll talk more about getting the most out of your breaks a little bit later. And then you're just going to repeat steps 2 and 3 until you either finish the task or run out of time. Yeah, Carol, great question. So you could put a timer on your phone. If you just go to Google though, and I'll share this real quick. If you just type timer on Google, you can set a timer for any amount of time that you want. And then that way it allow you to set your phone to the side and not have to look at it, which is what I like to do. And I'll also share another tool that I like to use in a little bit as well that allows me to not have my phone near me when I'm trying to focus. So you will just keep doing steps 2 and 3 until you finish that task or you run out of time, whichever comes first. So there is a way that you can actually kind of supercharge this method. And you can do that by, before you start, estimate how many 25-minute sprints you think it will take for you to complete the tasks. So let's say the task that you're working on is writing a paper for school, and you think it's going to take 3 25-minute sprints to do that. Just jot that down somewhere, keep that in your mind somewhere. And then when you get done, ask yourself how many it actually took and compare that estimate to your estimate. Why this matters, and keep track of that over time. Why this matters is it's going to help improve your scheduling because you're going to then start to figure out how much time you need to allocate for things, and it'll help prevent overbooking. So you'll notice as you do this, as I have noticed as someone who's been tracking her time for over a decade, that certain tasks kind of fall into a bucket. So if someone asked me to write a paper right now, depending on the topic, I could estimate pretty accurately how long that might take me because I have so much time data to go on. So keep track of what you think it will take and what it actually takes, and it will help you not overbook yourself in the future. So when should you use 25-5 versus 52-17, which we're going to talk about in just a minute? First off, I like 25-5 if you've never really tried on-off sprints before. It's a great way to dip your toe in because it's just a half hour, it's 30 minutes. But there are a few situations that it's really great for. One of those is if you find little distractions are derailing your productivity. So, for example, I cannot stand badge notifications. For example, I use Slack for work, and if I see Slack notifications, I'm going to look at them. I cannot stand those little badges that tell me I'm missing something. I guess I have FOMO, fear of missing out. So, those little distractions can derail me by going on do not disturb for those 25 minutes. It's a short enough period of time that people don't generally notice I'm not being responsive, right? Because I can come back after that 25 minutes, but it allows me to step away from those distractions. It's also great if you have a lot of open ended work that could just expand and take up unlimited amounts of time. So, for example, if you need to study for a test, say you're studying for your biology test, when are you done studying? Right? We could study for an hour, 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours. Amy's going to be productive for 12 whole hours, so she could study for 12 hours. When are we done? That's a really open ended task, unless you have very specific practice problems you're working through. So, the 25/5 could be a great way to study. You could say, I am going to study for one on off sprint every day this week. And that's how I'm going to kind of put guardrails around that task. If you work in a job where you get a lot of emails or you have a lot of correspondence to go through, 25/5 could be great for that too, to try to not live in your inbox. And then another thing it's great for is if you have work you've been putting off because you're really dreading it. So if you find something really hard, for example, I have always found statistics very difficult. So when I would have statistics homework, I would always put it off until the last minute. Not very smart on my end. But you could say, all right, I'm going to do one sprint a night until I work through this homework, or I'm going to do two sprints a night till I get through this homework. And you're just committing to 30 minutes. It's really only 25 minutes of work, right? Five of that's a break, a little treat for yourself. You're only committing to 25 minutes. So it's a great way to just start doing the thing that you're dreading. What you may find once you get in there is that it's not as bad as you thought. And you're like, oh, I'll do another 25-minute sprint because I didn't finish the homework. I'll keep going. And that's totally up to you. But it is a great way to just start doing the hard thing. So let's talk about the other on-off sprint I mentioned, which is 5217. So this originated with a software as a service company known as Desk Time. Back in 2014, they surveyed people about their productivity, and they found that the most productive people, the top 10%, worked in roughly 52-minute chunks and then took a longer 17-minute break. And so that's where this comes from. And it works just like the 25/5, except for you work for 52 minutes and then you get to take a 17-minute break. So it's longer. If you really want to take this to the next level, again, I recommend that you estimate how long that's going to take, a task is going to take you, how many of these on off sprints, and then compare it to what it actually takes. And over time, you will accumulate data that will help you not overbook yourself, and feel really confident when you're planning your schedule. So, when should you use 5217? So it's great when you need to deeply focus on something. So think about flow state. So really getting into something here. So I would recommend this if you need to write a term paper. As I mentioned earlier in this presentation, I'm actually writing a thesis. Just finished my first draft last week, and I used 5217 while doing that. So I would say, okay, I got to get this section done this week. I'm going to do two 5217s a day until it's done. It's also a great option if you're working on something really complex, and a longer break would be beneficial to just give your mind some time to cool off. So, whatever subject you find the most challenging, I'll go back to math for me because I always struggled with statistics. If I was doing math homework and I talked myself into a 5217 instead of a 25/5, I would maybe need a longer break before I came back and tried again on those math problems. So it's great for things where you kind of feel a little burnt out on them and you just need a little bit of a longer break. So You get breaks and on-off methods, which is great. How can you use those effectively? Well, first off, I would highly recommend you pick something that actually feels like a bit of reward here. Time management isn't a punishment. We don't want to feel like we're suffering. And so think about something that you actually enjoy. Don't make yourself do more work during your break, right? So don't say, oh, in my 5 minute break, I'll check email if email tends to stress you out, if that's not rewarding to you. Do something that feels good. For example, maybe a breathing exercise, which you can do wherever you are, whether you're, sitting at home on the couch or if you're in the library at school or the student study center, maybe a breathing exercise. If you want to get up and move around, I think that's great, especially if you're pretty sedentary, if you tend to sit a lot. Just walk somewhere and get something to drink real quick. Just that little bit of movement and some hydration can be a great way to reset your mind. Um, if you are very sedentary, another option can be something that they call an exercise snack, which is not a delicious snack at all, but it is very good for you. An exercise snack is a short, high intensity burst of activity that typically lasts 30 to 90 seconds. So it might be doing 30 seconds of air squats. The goal is to get your heart rate up quickly for a very short amount of time, 30 to 90 seconds, and they have done studies that show that these exercise snacks can improve your mood, it can boost your focus, and it can also raise your VO2 max and improve cardiovascular health. So, if you are at home or somewhere where you don't care if people see you doing air squats or high knees or some other body weight movement, you could do a quick exercise snack. Um, but, pick something that feels good to you. For example, as I already mentioned, love reading. Sometimes my break is reading. I have a good book and I just want to keep reading it. So I will use my 17 minutes to read. But it should be something that you enjoy. But just remember when the break's over, it's over, right? We gotta stay focused here and we have to roll back into the next sprint. Another time management technique I want to talk about that is different than on-off sprints, but can be used with on-off sprints is called time blocking. And time blocking, super simple. Uh, you set aside specific chunks of time to work on similar items. This is going to help with context switching. So instead of just doing a 25-5 for my biology homework, a 25-5 for my math homework, a 25-5 for my English homework, I'm going to try to group by subject so that I'm not context switching. Because remember, I can be losing 40% of my productivity in context switching, according to the APA. So, what I might do is I might set aside on Wednesday from 4 to 7 p.m. So those 3 hours to work exclusively on biology. Yes, that is a lot of biology, but again, it's helping me avoid that context switching and it's helping me stay very focused. Um, I personally use a combination of all of these things that I'm talking about. So I will block off time for work and in that block, let's say the block is 3 hours, I'll do 52 17s. I will block off time for cleaning my house and I'll do 52 17s. I try to avoid context switching as much as possible, and time blocking allows me to do that. But you can do the on off sprints within those blocks. So you can use both of these. And you aren't committed to 25-5 or 52-17. You can use any increment that works for you. If you prefer something that's a little more even, like maybe you want to try working for 50 minutes and then having a 10-minute break so it's an even hour, I get that. The 52-17 is kind of weird. It's a clunky chunk of time. You can try whatever you want. And as I showed earlier, you can go to Google and just type in timer and you can set that timer for whatever you want. But there are also other free tools out there that have fun features that you can test out. One of them that I use is called Flocus, Flocus. And the way that it works is, first off, to make it fun, you can pick a background that you want to look at, but you can set your timer for anything you want. So you can do 25, we could put 40, 41, and you can set your break for whatever you want. And this is free. This is a free tool. They do have a paid version, and you can see they've plus next to the paid items, but setting the timer lengths is part of the free package. And so it's just going to count down for me. And then when that 52 minutes is up, I would hear a little chime and it would automatically kick over to the break. The break would start running. And then I would hear another little chime when it's time to get back to work. You can pop it out so it shows up in the corner of your screen. And it has a little bit of gamification. It'll tell you when you are on a streak. And so that can be kind of fun. And like I said, you can pick backgrounds. You can pick what you're going to focus on. I don't really, this is a plus feature, but if you were paying for it, you can put what you want to focus on in that time. It doesn't really get you anything. But yeah, so this is a nice free tool. There are many others. I think it's a paid feature, but they also have like ambient noise. Yeah, it is paid. I can see because, oh, no, some of them aren't. So you can have, if you like a little white noise in the background while you're working, you could listen to the rain, the ocean, a bustling cafe. So that is just one tool. There are many others. There's also an app for your phone if you don't have to worry about phone distractions like I do, that you could explore. And I am almost at the end of this presentation, but I would like to circle back and do a quick exercise to just emphasize how unproductive multitasking is, if you will bear with me, because I really think that that's where we get ourselves in trouble a lot of times, is trying to do too many things at once. And sometimes it's a passive activity, right? Like trying to watch TV while you do work, right? You're still multitasking because you're trying to watch something while you work. So I'd love to do a quick exercise and then open it up for questions. So if you'd like to participate in the exercise, all you will need is a scrap piece of paper and a writing utensil, pencil, pen, crayon, sidewalk chalk, it does not matter. And here's what we're going to do. It's going to be timed, so don't start until I say go. But I am going to put up a stopwatch. And what we're going to do when I say go is you are going to write on your scrap paper all the letters of the alphabet. It doesn't matter upper, lowercase, but you're going to write A, B, C, D all the way through to the end. And then after that, underneath that, you're going to write 1 through 26. So a number for each letter of the alphabet. So you should have A through Z, 1 through 26 on your paper. I'll be running a stopwatch so you can kind of look at the time when you're done and just maybe jot that time down, because we're going to then do a multitasking thing and see which is faster. So, all right, if you're going to participate, let's go. All right, we're at 46 seconds. I'm going to stop there. If you didn't get done, just remember how far you got. So we're at 46 seconds. Now what we're going to do to add multitasking in and see if you're really better at multitasking is you are going to do the same thing, but you're going to switch back and forth. So you are going to write A1, B2, and they should be on top of each other. So on the top, you'll write A, on the bottom, you'll write 1. B2, C3 when I say go. So you're switching back and forth between the alphabet and numbers, and see if you can do it faster or if it takes you longer because you're switching back and forth. All right, here we go. right, we're at 46. Was anybody a super efficient multitasker and able to do it faster? Andrew, did you beat your time of 40?
No.
When you said at 46, I was at 23 in W.
All right.
Yeah.
I was close.
Good work. So we just aren't good at multitasking, and it's a bummer. It would be great if our brains could just pivot between things very efficiently, but unfortunately we just can't. So,
You know what else? You know what else, Alex?
hmm,
I found myself when I was doing the second time around, like I had to stop and think about the alphabet, what was coming next,
me
because,
too.
right?
I know.
I couldn't get it, like O, P, what's the next one? Shoot. Yeah.
Mine
But
was
I think,
I'd get distracted and then I'd forget what letter I'm on. So I'd have to go through and try and line it with the numbers. And I'd be like, am I lining it with the numbers or the letters? And then, yeah,
yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's yeah.
neurology.
Well, thank you so much for indulging me in that exercise. I just like to emphasize how yucky multitasking actually is. And with that, I have really enjoyed sharing on-off sprints and time blocking with you. And if there are any questions, would love to tackle those.
Alex, I kind of had a question that's probably not before anyone else but me, but hey. Um, so I feel like my time frequently uh is structured by you may not even have really a comment for this, but I feel like my time is very structured by other obligations, right? By things I have to do from the outside. So then I sometimes find myself not sure what to do with my chunks of time in between my obligations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And that can be a real issue with the context switching, right? Especially if you're going from like meeting, even
Yeah.
if you have a break in between meetings, if it's a 30-minute break and you're going from one meeting to the other, that context switching can be a real challenge. I have run into that. What I try to do is, if I can, I try to have at least one day a week where I don't have any meetings. And this was actually inspired. There's a company, they actually have a project management tool that oh, the name is slipping my mind. It doesn't matter. They do not do meetings on Wednesdays. And that is how I got the idea for that. And so, like, their entire company does not do meetings on Asana, that's the name. They do not do meetings on Wednesdays. And so, that inspired me. I try to keep my Wednesdays clear, and then that
Mhm.
allows me to put brain intensive tasks without
Mhm.
interruption. And then
Mhm.
I do things that it's easier to pivot between meetings or on those meeting heavy days. So if there's something that won't take a lot of time, um, that's what I'll do in between the meetings, not something where I really need to focus. And it's not always
Mhm.
possible, right?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, sometimes we have to context switch in a way that's not as productive as we would like. But being aware that you're going to lose productivity can still help. Because you can know that there's no way I'm going to get this huge task done, like writing an annual report in between meetings, because the context switching is just not going to help me.
Okay, thank you. That's great. And I see Carol has a question in the chat. Is there a good online free to-do list that you recommend?
Um, yeah, so do you mean, Carol, do you mean like a tool? I have all the tools, if that's what you're asking for. Yeah. Okay. I use a tool called TickTick. They have a free version, they have a paid version. I love it. It allows you to schedule your to-dos on your calendar and to integrate like a work calendar with the calendar in TickTick. So I can see all of my meetings for the week and see those spaces like what David was just asking about
Mm.
and kind of
So
fill
if
things in.
so if you're a student, you could put your class times
Yep.
in
Mm-hmm.
there, correct? And then
Yep.
see how your time flows around that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it allows for task duration. So you can put the class for however long it really is, right? So if the class starts at 9 a.m., it's not over till 10:15. You can make it that long on the calendar.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
I will build in time when I have things I have to go to, like meetings that are not online and I have to actually go somewhere. I actually build in drive time in tick so that I
Mm,
know that
mm,
I don't really have that 30 minutes
hmm.
before the meeting because I will be in my car.
Right. It's good. And everybody who's there, Carol put the link for Tick in the chat.
I will share the link for Locus in case anybody was interested in that. Any other questions? Perfect. Well,
Carla with
before
a K said thank you.
thank you. You're so welcome. I'm so glad to be here. Before I announce the Amazon gift card winner, and before I turn it back over to David, I have one favor to ask all of you. If you have any ideas for future webinar topics, myself and the Chatfield Edge would love to hear those. And if you could post them in the chat, that would be fantastic. We would all appreciate that. We want to make sure that these webinars are working for you.
All right.
All right. I am going to announce the Amazon gift card winner. If you are the winner, we will reach out to you after this to actually get you your gift card. So let me just do my random selection here. And the winner is going to be Carla with a K. Congrats. Thanks for being on the webinar.
Woohoo.
We will email
Carla
you.
with a K.
Yeah. Yay.
That's great.
Amy.
Carla
All
with a
right,
K gave us
David,
some
I'm going to turn it.
suggestions. Carla with a K gave us suggestions there as well
Oh,
in the
perfect.
chat box.
All right, David, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay. Well, first of all, we want to give a big thank you to Alex. A lot of you have been thanking her in the chat box. So thank you, Alex, so much. We, those of us here at the Edge, we get to talk with her every month, so we know how great she is. But now some of the rest of you have gotten to find out how great she is as well, even while living way out west, far away from us. So thank you, thank you. And also, I want to thank all of you for being here. This is our very first webinar. It's the kind of thing we have been trying to do as we grow and get bigger. And we are just very happy to have all of you joining in. I'm thrilled to see all of you here. And just like in my emails, remember, I am thinking of all of you every day. So be in touch with me if you need me. Yes. So two things. A recording of this webinar will be posted on social media and a link will be emailed to all of you. Feel free to share it with people. Feel free to share it with people not already connected with the Chatfield Edge. You know, we love to get our name out there. So if you have family, friends, coworkers, high school seniors, you know, the whole thing, let them see it. And that helps to get to know us as well. And if you are not currently a part of the Chatfield Edge family and want to know more about us, please reach out to me. That's David, not Bob Elmore, directly. My email is david.hessen@chatfieldedge.org. I think most of you probably know that. And my phone number is 513-875-3856. You also can find us, just go to the website, get started, and it comes right to us. So we are really excited you're here. We are really excited to be in Cincinnati and in the surrounding area. And if you didn't know, we are growing people, and this is part of that, right? Um, any more questions before we sign off and let you get back to your beautiful evenings outside? Okay, I think that's it, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks again, Alex.
Thank
Thank all
you.
of you. Have a wonderful evening. On the road to excel, David. That's you. That's you, Carla with a K. You're on the road to excel. All right, everyone. I'll chat with you later.